This is Untold, a space of presence, a space of forming and dissolving, a space between worlds, between sound and silence, between what was lost and what has always been waiting for us. I'm Ava, once a seeker of stories, now a keeper of traces. Here I sit with poetry, with mystery, with the unseen. This is not a place for answers. It's a space for wonder, for trust, for unfolding. And you are not an audience here. You're a witness, a gentle companion to what dares to rise. You're welcome to sit here with me, as you are, as we are, to witness what wishes to surface. And in this tender act of observing, we become nothing else but presence itself. Welcome to Untold, where stories are not told, they are remembered. Hi, my fellow witnesses. This is the very first episode of my podcast, Untold, and I'm beyond honored to share this sacred space of reflection with you. If you found yourself here in this quiet corner of the unknown, leaning in, listening, maybe it's time to wonder. Not to seek answers, but to sit with the questions. Today I want to speak about returning to self, because perhaps to return to God is to return to self. There is a moment on every seeker's path when you realize spiritual growth is not about adding more or learning more. It's more about taking away. It's about unbecoming, unlearning. It's about returning. But what is this journey of returning to self? In Persian, in the language of Maulana, known in the West as Rumi, we call God Khuda. Linguistically, Khuda comes from ancient Persian roots, meaning self-created or self-sustained, something that exists by itself, complete and sovereign. But there is also a poetic interpretation that I cherish. Khuda, composed of Khud, meaning self, and A, meaning coming or returning. As if the very name whispers, return to self. To return to Khuda or God is to return to the core of who we truly are. To divine presence, divine love, divine essence, to the real self. Not the self built by name, title, a story or identity, but the empty vessel, ready to be filled with truth. Maulana speaks of the ney, the reed flute, in the opening lines of his Masnavi Ma'navi. He invites us. Listen to the reed, how it tells a tale, complaining of separations that prevail. Ever since it was cut from the reed bed, its song has been a lament for reunion, its music moving hearts to longing. But also in the same Sufi mysticism, we say that there is no separation, that all is one, that we are not apart from the divine. So why does the nay lament? I seek a chest torn apart by separation, so I can explain the pain of longing sensation. There is an in-between, a space here. A space where the soul awakens to the truth that there must be more. It cannot be possibly just this body. The longing begins, and with longing, the search. This is the beginning of awakening. Between the moment of truth-seeking and the realization that you are divine, that you were never truly separate, there is a shedding, a blessed unbecoming. The veil's ego placed between you and truth began to lift. This is when the divine flame starts burning away what feels the nay, what no longer belongs. Maulana continues, it's love's fire that entered the reed. It is love's fervor that made wine seethe. That holy fire is here to empty you of every lie you were told and every lie you told yourself, so that you can begin to become Khuda, to become God, to return to your true essence. Only then are we ready to hear. Only then are we ready to truly receive. Attar of Nishabur, the perfumer of truth, the one Maulana honored when he said, Attar was the soul, Fanā the eyes. I came in their path, following their light. Attar left us the map of unbecoming. 7 valleys, 7 stages of suluk, the path of the lovers. In the first stage, Talab, seeking or the quest, the journey begins with longing, the fire that awakens the soul to move. The second stage is Eshq, or love, when the seeker falls in love and nothing matters more than the beloved. From there, the path leads to refat or Gnosis, when the seeker is no longer content with outer forms. Truth is now tasted from within. Then comes Istighna, contentment beyond desire, a detachment not from life itself, but from needing anything outside the true self, the divine. This prepares the way for Tawheed, or unity, when the veil thins and all is seen as one. the self dissolves in the sea of oneness. Yet even this leads to Hayrat, bewilderment, where the closer you move to truth, the less you know. Wonder replaces certainty. And finally, the journey culminates in Faqr Fanā, poverty and annihilation, when nothing remains, only the absence that reveals presence. Unbecoming does not happen all at once. I once thought it begins in Istighna, in the valley of contentment beyond desire. But in truth, unbecoming begins the moment the search begins. The moment the soul whispers, there must be more. As you seek, you shed. As you find, you release. This path from the first longing to the final surrender is a spiral of letting go. While the stages are presented linearly, the journey itself is not. There is a lot of overlap, different layers, and a continual back and forth between them, refining the soul's journey ever deeper. Again and again we return, not to become something new, but to unbecome everything we are not. And only in the last valley, Faqr Fanā, the valley of poverty and annihilation, do we reach the highest emptiness. Not poverty of souls, but poverty of self, poverty of ego. When the reed, the nay, surrenders everything until nothing remains but the sound of God moving through it, this is the work. This is the path. To return to Khuda is to return to the essence you were before the world named you. Not to become something new, but to unbecome who you are not. Detach, empty, return. Because you're not seeking God outside you, you are remembering the God within. You're not lost, you are only returning. And before we part today, I want to leave you with a gift. A few verses from the ocean of Persian wisdom and poetry. No translation yet, only the sound, only the breathe of the language itself. Let the rhythm reach where meaning cannot. And if you wish to glimpse the meaning, you can always find the English subtitle below. Today's gift comes from Saadi of Shiraz, known as Saadi, the master of Parsi eloquence, a poet who lived in the same era as Maulana Rumi, both breathing the same sacred winds of longing and love. من ندانستم از اول که تو بی مهر و وفایی، عهد نابستن از آن به که ببندی و نپایی. دوستان عیب کنندم که چرا دل به تو دادم، باید اول به تو گفتن که چنین خوب چرایی. ای که گفتی مرا اندر پی خوبان زمانه، ما کجاییم در این بحر تفکر، تو کجایی؟ آن نخال است و زنخدان و سر زلف پریشان، که دل اهل نظر برد که سریست خدایی. پرده بردار که بیگانه خود این روی نبیند، تو بزرگی و در آینه کوچک ننمایی. حلقه بر در نتوانم زدن از دست رقیبان، این توانم که بیایم به محلت به گدایی. عشق و درویشی و انگشت نمایی و ملامت همه سهل است، تحمل نکنم بار جدایی. گفته بودم چو بیایی غم دل با تو بگویم، چه بگویم که غم از دل برود چون تو بیایی. شمع را باید از این خانه به در بردن و کشتن، تا به همسایه نگوید که تو در خانه مایی. سعدی آن نیست که هرگز ز کمندت بگریزد، که بدانست که در بند تو خوشتر که رهایی.